Hello, welcome to another video. This is another video in our series where I'm showing you how I do a real wedding. This is a little different from the videos you're used to seeing me in. I'm in my kitchen and I am showing you arrangements that I do from garden flowers that I grow. But I wanted to show you another aspect of my business, which is floral event designs. And most of our work is weddings. And I have a wedding coming up that's using a very neutral palette that I think is appealing to a lot of brides out there, and I thought it would be fun to show you from start to finish how we do an actual wedding. I've been doing events since 1994, so 29 years. I thought, well, I will share a little bit of my knowledge on how to do an event. Most of it is really just project management in addition to flower designs. So what I'm going to show you today is one of two church ceremony arrangements. So we've got sort of a ceremony arrangement urn here filled with floral foam. I've greened in with eucalyptus, and let's get started. All right. So we're going to set the shape of the arrangement with hydrangeas. What I have here are 8 stems of hydrangeas in white and pale blush. And we use hydrangeas just to set sort of the shape of the arrangement. So this is not going to be a arrangement that has a lot of lines. It's mostly a rounded, mounded arrangement that goes with the centerpieces that I featured in this series of videos. So I'm going to arrange the hydrangeas on different levels. We've got the higher level here to set the tall lines. Then I'm going to do it a little lower here. I'm going to give you quantities because I think in event design it's very important to know sort of the recipe for each arrangement so you can order flowers accordingly. So this is about 1.5 bunches, wholesale bunches of seeded eucalyptus, mixed different types of eucalyptus. We have seeded eucalyptus and the silver dollar eucalyptus, and 8 stems of hydrangeas. So I'm spacing the hydrangeas pretty evenly throughout the arrangement, and it's going to set the lines of our arrangement for us. Okay. Then I'm going to use some white snapdragons. So you'll see that the materials are echoing the centerpieces we did, and we're going to use 12 stems of the white snapdragons. Snapdragons are readily available. They're very neutral. I just like these little pointed green buds as a contrast to all these rounded flowers we're going to use. We're going to use mostly roses and hydrangeas. A very important thing to know in flower design for events is to set expectations for your clients on what is doable and what is not doable. Like, there are a lot of beautiful arrangements in magazines and a lot of the arrangements that I actually do in my videos where we're showing, very exotic flowers or hard to get flowers that might not be available everywhere and might not be available in every season. So a big part of your job as a flower designer, or even if you're just doing your own events, is to be realistic about what's available in large quantities, as well as what seasons they are available. Peonies, as you know, have been really huge for weddings, but the peony season's pretty short. You're not going to get a lot of peonies in September. Our peony season here in North America spans, I would say, mid-May to maybe mid-July, and then we're pretty much out. And then we kind of have a dry spell where we can't get any peonies, and we can get them again in limited quantities in early November because we could source them from the southern hemisphere. From Chile is a big grower, maybe from New Zealand. So places where it's spring. So we can get peonies again around the holiday season, but it's very, very expensive. So for a lot of the wedding season, which is usually midsummer, we're unable to get peonies in large quantities. You may be able to get a bunch here and there from your wholesaler for the bridal bouquet, but I would definitely not be quoting peonies and centerpieces and in bridesmaids bouquets and in large ceremony arrangements in September or October, because you're just going to set up a lot of problems for yourself. And so that's a lot of what being a professional florist is to manage expectations and to know what's available in each season and do it professionally. Okay, so we've got the snapdragons in so that you've got some lines, some green tips to break up the roses and hydrangeas. Now we're doing 15 stems of roses in here. We're going to do 10 stems of pale blush and 5 stems of white roses. And these quantities are based on these really high quality Ecuadorian roses with these huge heads. You may need more roses if you're using smaller heads. Like the Colombian roses are very nice, but they have smaller heads. The roses you generally see at Costco and places like that are not Ecuadorians. They're going to be Colombian roses, which there's nothing wrong with them. They're just not as, the heads are just not as large. And you might have to buy very long stemmed roses and cut them short. Like most of these are 60 and 70 centimeter roses, and roses wholesale are priced by the stem length. So a 70 centimeter rose is going to cost more than a 60 centimeter rose, going to cost more than a 50 centimeter. So it comes in these sizes. 40 centimeters are the shortest Ecuadorians. 50s are the medium, 60s are the medium tall, 70s are the very tall, and there's some 80s that are super tall. And generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, the longer the stem length, the larger the flower head. And so if you want really premium looking roses, you're going to have to pay for the longer stems and cut them short. And these have all been cut short already when we're processing the flowers. So what you're seeing here are cut down to about 50 centimeters, but a lot of these are 60s and 70s. Okay, I just added in some of the white roses. The white roses we're using here are called Playa Blanca, which is a beautiful white rose that lasts really long and opens very fully like a garden rose. And now I'm going to add in 2 different kinds of blush roses. One is called Shimmer, which is this beautiful, almost peachy blush, and the other is this very pale pink, highly fragrant rose called Pink O'Hara. And these are all commercially grown roses, not like the English roses that I grow here in my garden that I use in my other videos. So it's very different to do flowers professionally for clients than to do it for your home. In your home, you can walk around and see perfect roses, pick them and do it. You just need to do an arrangement. You only need enough for one arrangement. And sometimes, I'll do arrangements that don't use a lot of flowers when I don't have a lot of flowers. But if you're doing this professionally for events, make sure you know what's available and you need to order a lot of these things ahead of time so that you don't disappoint your client. I would say that's one of the hardest parts of my job. We're very fortunate in California, here in Northern California, to have a growers market. I go to the San Francisco flower market where growers actually bring their product to market. Of course, all these roses are imported, so a lot of them are wholesalers who import roses too. So they're not all grown here. But the thing is, it's a very casually run business, almost like a farmer's market. So I always say, my promise to my clients is 100%, and my vendor's promise to me is at best 60 to 70%. So that's always creates a lot of anxiety for me, not being able to get what I've promised. And so over the years, to what's available and what you can always get. Like, getting white hydrangeas, white snapdragons, almost never a problem unless we have a big hurricane or something and they can't come in from Ecuador or Colombia. A lot of these white hydrangeas are grown in Colombia now, so that we have them year round. When I first started doing flowers in the 90s, there are long stretches where we don't have hydrangeas, and so I get hydrangea withdrawal because you get so reliant on these big fluffy flowers to fill up space. So it's nice that we have them year round. So I've added in all the large roses, and I'm adding in 5 stems of long stemmed white spray roses. These are grown locally in Petaluma. And they're gorgeous. Look at these. I mean, yes, it's only 5 stems, but each stem has so many flowers. I love these for large arrangements because they really amplify the flowers, the roses you have in here, and they act almost like a filler. And I love like that little bits of green that you see with the buds. See how it makes it look so much fuller just by adding one stem of that spray rose in there. So I'm just adding it here and there, doing 2 sort of at the top, and then 3 spread out through the arrangement. So I would say these long stem spray roses are a big bang for the buck. And the wholesale count for these are, I think, about 7 or 8 stems per bunch, depending on how big the stems are. Like these are really big stems, so I think we're probably just getting 7 stems per bunch. That's another thing that you need to know is how many stems of each thing, of each element comes in a wholesale bunch. That way you can make your spreadsheet to order for an event. And last, we're going to add in some baby's breath. Now this is about half a wholesale bunch of baby's breath, which is a pretty big bunch. So this is going to be a lot more than what you can get at Safeway or Trader Joe's, or I don't know where else they would sell, you know, a small bunch of baby's breath, maybe about this big. So I would say from the grocery store vendors, their bunch is about 1/3 or 1/4 of a wholesale bunch of baby's breath. You can add this in throughout the arrangement to give it an airiness and kind of romance and whimsy to kind of lighten up this arrangement. Baby's breath was not loved for a long time, and now last few years they're making a comeback. People love baby's breath again. I'm sort of neutral on them. You can go kind of overboard with it, but it definitely is very useful for as a filler flower. And they're wonderful for wearing to making flower crowns and to use in boutonnieres and corsages as a nice flower that lasts well out of water. That's another thing to know. Like if you're going to be doing boutonnieres and corsages, you have to choose materials that will last for many hours out of water, because when you are doing a corsage and boutonniere, it's going to be worn on someone's lapel. There's no water source, so you have to know what can work. Let me know in the comments below if you are interested in learning more about the business of being a florist or an event designer. Now, I have never had a flower shop, but I've been doing events since 1994, so I have a lot of experience in events. And I don't know if my subscribers and viewers are more hobbyists who want to just do flowers for their house, or if there's some of you who are trying to start a business in flower design, or just someone who just wants to do their own wedding. I would be happy to make videos talking about the professional side of floral design, because until now I've been focusing my videos more on what I think is beautiful, just showing you these amazing things that I grow in the garden and using containers and things that I've collected over the years. And so this more geared towards people who just want to do beautiful arrangements for their home. But I'm thinking of doing a series of videos for people who are considering this as a profession. Maybe you want to do something on the side and start a floral design business, and on the weekends, let me tell you, it's not just a weekend job. But it is a great business to start that does not need a ton of capital, but you do need to be trained. You have to have a lot of knowledge. You know, don't think you could just take this on and say, oh, I'll take on someone's wedding, because as I've shown you in the last video, you do need to have certain infrastructure in place so that you are doing a professional job. So I think we are done. This is a nice standard sort of ceremony arrangement for a church, and we're going to go see the wedding set up at the church.